ready to have your minds blown. You guys have sent over some seriously thought-provoking stuff about levels of human evolution. We're about to take a deep dive into self-discovery, consciousness, and this idea of like breaking free from the matrix.
And I have to say, this isn't just theoretical. We're going to be exploring practical tools for personal transformation tools that you can start using today.
I love it. So our main source for this deep dive is a conversation with this guy, Marcelo, who's dedicated over 40 years to self-observation.
Yeah, he's a deep thinker.
Drawing wisdom from folks like Plato and Krishnamurti, basically the heavy hitters of self-discovery.
What's fascinating is how Marcelo lays out this framework of human evolution. But forget Darwin for a second. This is about waking up from what he calls the matrix. Have you ever felt like there's more to life than what we're told? Like there's this whole system operating behind the scenes. That's the matrix he's talking about.
Okay, so we're not talking about Keanu Reeves dodging bullets here. What exactly is this matrix, according to Marcelo?
It's the system, man. Think about it. We're conditioned from a young age to work, consume, follow the rules. It's like we're on autopilot, totally unaware of the forces shaping our thoughts and behaviors.
It's like that saying, the fish doesn't know it's in water. We're so surrounded by this system that we mistake it for reality. So how do we even begin to break free?
Well, that's where these levels of human evolution come in. Marcelo lays out 7 of them, each representing a stage in this journey of waking up from the matrix.
7 levels. Okay, so it's not just a simple on or off switch. There's a whole spectrum to this waking up thing.
Exactly. And just like in that movie, there are people who are still plugged in, unaware of the matrix, and then there are those who are fighting to break free.
This is blowing my mind already, and we're only just getting started.
And buckle up, because Marcelo even introduces this idea of original humans existing outside the simulation.
Okay, hold on.
He got this concept from someone named Harlequin. These original humans, they're not bound by the same rules. They've tapped into a different level of consciousness.
Okay, hold on. Original humans. Who are these guys? Are we talking about some kind of ancient civilization or a secret society? Give us the download.
Think of them as those who have broken free from the matrix completely. They've achieved a level of self-awareness and freedom that most people can't even imagine. And here's the kicker. According to Marcelo, we all have the potential to reach that level.
All right, I am 100% on board with this journey, but where do we even begin? How do we actually transform ourselves, level up, if you will, to escape this matrix and become these awakened original humans?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Well, Marcelo believes it starts with understanding where you currently fit within these levels of evolution.
Okay, so let's break down these levels. What's the first stage in this grand escape from the matrix?
He calls it the neophyte. Think of it like childhood. You're just starting out, totally oblivious to the matrix. You accept things as they are, following the rules without question. Life is simple, but you're living in a state of unconsciousness.
Makes sense, like a baby learning to walk. You're just figuring things out, totally unaware of the bigger picture. So how do we go from clueless infants to rebellious teenagers in the system?
Well, as we grow and experience more of the world, we enter the aspirant stage. Like adolescents, aspirants start sensing something's not quite right. They question the status quo things like education, politics, even the food we eat. They're like those kids who start questioning everything their parents say.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
It's like that feeling of, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. But you're not quite sure what to do about it yet. It's like smelling smoke, but not knowing where the fire is.
Precisely. And for some people, that questioning leads to action, and they evolve into the adolescent stage. These are the rebels, the activists, the ones who are out there fighting for change. They're convinced that by changing the external world, they can fix what feels broken.
Okay, I can see how that fiery, rebellious energy can be a powerful force for change. But I'm sensing a but coming here.
You're catching on. While their passion is admirable, this is where a lot of people get stuck. They fall into what Marcelo calls the trap of external solutions. They're so focused on fighting the system that they forget about the most important transformation of all, the one happening inside themselves.
So you're saying even rebellion can become part of the system. How does that work? It feels like we're fighting against it.
It's subtle, right? It's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, you know. It might feel like you're doing something, but you're ignoring the iceberg about to sink the whole ship.
Right.
Marcelo uses this really insightful analogy of the Boca versus River rivalry in Argentina to illustrate this.
Okay. For those of us who aren't up on our Argentine football, what's the takeaway here?
Think about any intense rivalry where people are fiercely divided, right?
Right.
The system, the matrix, doesn't mind this kind of conflict. In fact, it thrives on it. It distracts us from questioning the bigger picture, the underlying structures keeping us trapped. We're so busy fighting each other, we don't realize we're all in the same boat.
It's like a magician using this direction. While we're busy focusing on the conflict, the real trick, the control, is happening somewhere else.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even trickier. Even things we associate with personal growth religion, yoga, even choosing a specific diet, they can become another layer of the matrix if we're not careful.
Wait, are you saying self-improvement can be a trap? I'm feeling very called out right now. Help us understand this. How do we know if we're on the path to genuine transformation or just slapping on another Band-Aid?
It all comes down to intention. Are you seeking external validation or internal alignment? Are you doing things to fit in, to look good, or because you're genuinely trying to understand and transform your inner world?
That's deep. Have you ever found yourself caught in that trap?
Absolutely. It's an ongoing process, right? The key is to constantly question our motivations. We have to cultivate self-awareness even when it comes to our self-improvement efforts.
So how do we break free from this cycle? Where do we even begin to dismantle these internal chains?
Marcelo says it starts with a fundamental shift, moving from external blame to internal responsibility. It's about recognizing that we have more power than we realize to choose our responses to the world around us.
That sounds incredibly empowering, but how do we actually rewire ourselves to stop blaming everyone and everything else? Our brains are wired to point fingers. It's like that saying, when you point a finger, there are three fingers pointing back at you. But how do we actually break that habit of blame and step into our power?
This is where we move from the aspirant, the questioner, to the disciple. Now, before you picture robes and rituals, remember, it's not about joining a group. It's about becoming a disciple of your own experience. And Marcelo says the key to unlocking this stage is self-observation.
Self-observation. That sounds a bit, well, passive. Shouldn't we be doing something to change? How does just observing help?
That's the paradox. Self-observation is an action, and a powerful one at that. Think about it. Figures like Buddha, Jesus, Gandhi, they didn't change the world pinpointing fingers. Their revolutions were internal, right? They mastered the art of observing their thoughts and emotions without judgment.
I can get behind that. It reminds me of that quote, be the change you want to see in the world. But how do we even begin? I can barely focus on a thought for 5 seconds before getting distracted.
It's a practice, not a magic switch. And lucky for us, Marcelo has this mind-blowing exercise. Want to try it with our listeners right now?
Game on. Hit us with it.
All right, listeners, here's the challenge. First, just think the thought, hello, listener's name.
Easy enough, right? Don't overthink it.
Now, keep thinking that thought, but this time, clap your hands at the same time.
You got that. Hello, listener's name, and clap along.
Now, pay close attention. As you are doing that, could you observe both the thought and the action of clapping simultaneously?
This is where things get really wild. What did you notice, listeners?
This seemingly simple exercise reveals something profound about our being. We're not just our thoughts or our actions. There's a deeper awareness, an observer witnessing it all.
So there's a part of me that's thinking, hello, and another part that's aware of the thinking. That's kind of blowing my mind right now.
It's like having a front row seat to the movie of your mind. Marcelo uses this beautiful analogy to explain it further. He compares the mind to a lake. When the lake is turbulent, filled with waves and ripples, it's hard to see a reflection. That's like our minds when they're caught in a whirlwind of thoughts.
So all that mental chatter, all those worries and to-do lists, that's the choppy water.
Precisely. But imagine the lake becoming still, crystal clear. Now you can see a reflection perfectly. That stillness, that clarity, the power of self-observation.
A clear mind, a clear reflection. I can get behind that. But how does this relate to breaking free from the matrix, to that internal transformation we keep talking about?
Think about it. Our internal dialogue, all that mental noise, often amplifies our suffering. We get trapped in loops of anxiety, self-doubt, blame. But there's another voice, a whisper behind the chatter that often gets drowned out. Marcelo calls this the voice of the soul.
So it's like our mind is having a loud party and our soul is trying to get our attention, but we can't hear it over the noise.
Exactly. It's like we have a wise guide within, but we've given the microphone to our anxious ego. Remember Plato's chariot analogy? The soul is that wise passenger who knows the destination, but we rarely listen.
Okay, this is all resonating deeply, but how do we actually turn down the volume on the mental noise and start tuning into that soul wisdom.
That's where Marcelo's 5 keys to awakening consciousness come in. Think of them as pillars: self-observation, purpose, love, and service.
We've already dived deep into self-observation. What about purpose? Is this about finding our dream job?
It's bigger than that. It's about aligning your life with what truly matters to you, what makes you feel alive, what impact you want to have on the world. That's your soul's purpose whispering.
So less about what do I want to be when I grow up, and more about what kind of ancestor do I want to be?
Yeah, you're getting it. And then there's love. Not just romantic love, but a universal, unconditional love that connects us all.
We touched on this earlier. It's that difference between wanting someone, needing them to fill a void, versus truly loving them for who they are.
Exactly. And this kind of love, it's not possessive or conditional. It's about recognizing the spark of the divine in everyone and everything.
And what about service? Does this mean we all need to quit our jobs and join the Peace Corps?
It's about embodying a spirit of generosity in all areas of life. It's about asking, how can I be of service? Not out of obligation, but from a place of love and abundance.
It's that saying, the more you give, the more you receive. But it sounds like this giving comes from a pure place, not from a desire for recognition or reward.
Exactly. And here's the amazing thing. As we master these first 4 keys, self-observation, purpose, love, and service, we naturally unlock the 5th key, knowledge of self.
So it's like the treasure at the end of the quest.
Exactly. It's the culmination of this inner work, the realization of our true nature. And what's fascinating is how Marcelo connects these stages to ancient wisdom traditions, like the Egyptian mystery schools.
So we've gone from the Matrix to ancient Egypt in one episode. My mind is officially blown. Where do we even go from here?
The real journey begins now. The question is, where do you find yourself within these levels of evolution? What resonates most deeply with your experience? Are you the neophyte still waking up, the aspirant questioning everything? Or are you ready to step into the role of the disciple and embark on that inner transformation?
Take some time to reflect on those 5 keys: self-observation, purpose, love, service, and that ultimate knowledge of self. And hey, who knows, maybe in a future deep dive we can unpack more of these ancient mysteries.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into human evolution. Remember, the most important journey is the one we take within. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep listening to that whisper of your soul.